Mike Parr, BBC TEES.
Now, first off this morning, I want to talk about comments made by Lord Heseltine in the national media over the weekend. And he said on Sky News that now is as good a time as any for a steelworker to lose their jobs. Now, as you can imagine, these comments have not gone down well here. Local Labour MPs Tom Blenkinsop and Anna Turley say that it shows that the government never had any intention of trying to save the steel industry. Now, Lord Heseltine did say that all this is very painful for the people who suffer, but he did go on to say that it's an exciting time in the economy at the moment with a number of new jobs being created. Now, I can only assume he's talking about moving away then to get a job, because unemployment here is still rising. We've got the highest unemployment rate in the country. Craig Hornby is the organiser of Eston Hills Community Group. Craig, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm well, and of course you held this torchlight vigil, didn't you, over the weekend as well at Eston Hills?
We did, yeah. 300 people up there. It was fantastic, yeah. Brilliant atmosphere.
Yeah, and good coverage of that in the local press today.
Yeah.
But what about these comments by Lord Heseltine in the national media?
Well, he's a legendary, arrogant Tory, and if it wasn't so tragic, it would be funny. I think Johnny Weissmuller made more sense swinging on the vine, you know.
So why do you think he made that comment then about...
Because he's out of touch. They've always been out of touch, you know. I mean, the contempt they showed for the working class, him particularly, during the miners' strike, hasn't gone away, you know. We're a class-ridden society deeply entrenched over generations.
But he says, doesn't he, that it's yesterday's industry?
But we'll need steel tomorrow, and we happen to make the finest steel in the world, you know. And other countries... Italy bailed out their steel industry, saving 15,000 jobs. So why can't we do it? Because it's not in. It doesn't do them any favours. It looks after us. We're not in it. We're not all in it together. They must believe all the hype that the Northern Powerhouse is like actually up and running, and we're living in, you know, a bonanza boom time. Well, it's not the truth.
And when he talks about it being an exciting time in the economy at the moment, with a number of new jobs, do you understand what he means?
Well, it may be a bit more dynamic down in his London-centric world, but I live in Saltburn, right? And I was in Redcar a couple of weeks ago. I go down the road from here 2 miles, and it shocks me. The high street is shocking. It's shockingly depressed. You can see it on people's faces. You can see the shops that the council boarded up with those fake shop fronts, some of those virtual shops that the high street had a few years ago. They had about 30 boarded up shops with pictures of shops on to make the iron shutters look more presentable. Well, they're boarded up now. They're falling apart. You know, it's utterly ridiculous what he's saying. It's an arrogant, out-of-touch government. We've never been in it together. And that's the way it is. Right,
there are echoes of Norman Tebbit in this, aren't there? Getting on your bike. Is that what Lord Heseltine is suggesting, do you think?
Well, imagine, you know, like I was one of Thatcher's kids. I left school in the early 80s when there was 3 million on the dole, and like, you know, a whole generation really left this area and went elsewhere. You know, but there's 650,000 people in Teesside. We're here because of like the great industrial past that we were born into, that we powered for all those generations. You know, people can't just disappear. We can't just uproot an entire area this size to somewhere else. People live here. Their communities exist here. People have roots and families.
But in reality, Craig, do you think somebody in most families will have to move away to bring the money in?
Well, there's no doubt about it. You know, the younger lads who've lost their jobs at the steelworks, you know, they're going to be able to adapt easier. For blokes, you know, maybe the late 40s and 50s, they're going to struggle more because, you know, you can't work at the place like that for 30 years and not get, you know, set in your ways. It's inevitable. That was what they did, and they're gonna find it tough now to lose all these jobs in the run up to Christmas, you know. In an area which has the highest unemployment and always has had, you know, going way back. For him to say that is outrageous.
So what do you think they should have done then? They should have propped it up then, even though we've got this cheap steel coming in.
I'm no expert in this, but there's one thing for certain, right? we lost 64,000 jobs back in the day, in the 80s. You know, we weren't important. We were just cast away. And it reminds me of like a Tory peer, was it, who said a couple of years ago that we should not regenerate the North. These places are finished. They're has-beens. Well, there's kids still being born here. You know, whenever there's kids, there's got to be a future. You can't give up. And that's kind of what we were doing on the NAB the other night, you know. And loads of families and loads of people brought the kids. And it was a great atmosphere. There has to be hope at the end of the day. And 0 hours contracts and a culture built on short-term instability. It affects everybody, you know. I don't think people want to be rich. They all want a safe job and stability, really.
All right.
And not be anxious about the future.
Craig, thank you very much for that. Craig Hornby, organiser of Eston Hills Community Group. You can hear the anger in his voice there, can't you?